Do you know that it's possible to look at somebody and know exactly what their viewpoint of the world is? You can if you know how to measure their consciousness level. On the DVD that teaches muscle testing, I'm going to go into the muscle testing and how you can choose to know the consciousness level of you, your kids, your family, so you have something to go on. So you can use this as a truth teller to just kind of see where people are vibing at. For instance, if you want to know where your boss is operating at, are they operating from fear, guilt, anger, or are they operating from love and above? Wouldn't this kind of be helpful to understand where people are coming from? You can also measure what ages most of their trauma came in their life and actually use that piece of information to actually clear that from them or clear it from yourself. This is the power of using muscle testing and measuring your consciousness and asking questions. You can know all these things so you can actually reshape and remold your life. I'm so excited for you because if you could go through life knowing fact from fiction, you would never get bamboozled into other people's agendas. You could always choose for yourself from the energy of love, joy, compassion, gratitude, kindness. I believe the only reason people don't choose this consciousness is because they either don't know it exists, because they have not lived it, or maybe they choose it because in the past love was abusive and they really don't believe in love. On my journey, I substituted the word kindness for love for a while, so I could really get the feeling of what the softer vibration of love is. I realized a lot of people think of love as unkind. I've seen this in my practice. An example of that would be a parent preventing you from doing your true work in the world because they think that they know better and want you to be something else. That's actually not really kind to you. That's using their authority forced upon your life. A conscious person would instead check inside and say, hey, what's in the best interest for my child? What is their true nature, talents, abilities? And what is their true path? Then the parent would support this true path. If you were not raised like this yourself, you may not trust your knowing as much because you've been pulled off track a bit. And I'm going to assist you with this. Love can actually really be love. Another example might be a mating issue. A lot of clients call me because things have happened between their mate and themselves. So I show the clients how to use the spiritual tools to lose the emotional and spiritual junk in their life so that there is space for new loving things to come in. I'm going to show you how to lose the luggage, so to speak. Relationships can and do change for the better. I have seen so many miracles occur just by one person in the relationship focusing on things getting better. It's a heartfelt prayer to the universe for things to change, and it just takes one person to catalyze everybody in the family. At the end of the day, though, it's all about choice and action. You making the choice and taking action consistently. Remember how I said I was down and out and I made a heartfelt prayer for my life to change? I made a declarative choice and statement to the universe that my life has to change now. And I didn't know what that looked like. I just knew it had to change. And that one choice created actions in the ethers and the spiritual plane that catalyzed circumstances to change in my world. Then I took guided physical action at just the right time for it all to work out. It's both choice and action. Because raising your consciousness by the mere fact that your vibration is raised makes you a bigger magnet for good things to come into your life. The higher your vibration, the more you attract to yourself. Right now, how my vibration is set, I pretty much just have to think a thought, and within a day or so, whatever I ask for usually shows up. I mean, it can be that fast. I mean, sometimes it takes a month or two or whatever, but if I really, really want something, it'll show up. Imagine for a minute a time when you really made a choice for something to come into your life. It came into your life, you made the choice from the place that there is no frickin' way that this is not going to happen for me. And that's the place where real change happens. It's not about trying. It drives me crazy when people say they will try. I always know at that point they have not even chosen it. They're leaving room for the space of failure. Try says, well, I'll sort of see if it happens, but not all of my energy is aligned for it to actually occur. That's basically saying you don't deserve it. Now, sometimes you have to just get rid of the luggage before it shows up, and then you'll figure out a way that no matter what, you're going to get it done. The universe delivers you the tools to make it happen. Sometimes you don't know what the route exactly is, but if you really demand the happy end result, that this is what's going to happen, and then take positive affirmative action, things will fall in place. It's the actions that lead to the reality change, and I know that people can change fast if they really choose to. I teach a lot of classes, and I've taught many classes on opening up to your spiritual gifts. It's my favorite thing to do, watching people blossom, use the gifts, and then change their lives, and then change their families' lives. It's my favorite thing in the whole world. So I did this class, and one gal in the class asked for her marriage to be fixed. A month later, it showed up in the form of her husband apologizing to her for being stubborn and not treating her so well. She knew she was at fault too, but her husband actually coming to apologize to her was different. The gift that she had asked for was a fixed marriage. So something had to change towards the positive. That was her intent. And instead of quitting on the marriage, the husband said he would rather see that it could work out. You have to understand, this is huge for her because this is the guy that had turned down counseling. So she called me, and she was both excited and weary, as she had been down this road before. She wanted it to work out, and yet she did not want to pour her heart out again if it was false promises. So she used her spiritual toolbox, and she started working on keeping herself open to the possibility of something new showing up in her life. She taught her husband to do the same. She taught her husband how to tune in intuitively, and she helped him see some things that he hadn't maybe looked at before. In a few months, her labor of love started to really pay off. Now, together, they are actually still together, and they're far happier than they ever were. She says it's fresh. It's like they got a clean slate. They get to start all over again. She thinks that it was all the spiritual help she received at the workshop, along with using her gifts, tools, guides, and angels every day. These are the same gifts I'm going to show you how to use. Another woman came to me, and we became good friends. She came to me because she needed some help with her kids. Her kids were angry and disgruntled at some things that had happened in their marriage, causing the marriage to end. So we worked with her spiritual nature, and we used spiritual tools. We taught our kids how to use the tools in the toolbox as well. The kids were amazing at it. Kids are very intuitive. They get it right away. The oldest son, 16, really started to grow into himself, and he actually started to get friends. He had been a loner. But all of a sudden, he started getting really friendly with people and having a lot more friends. He became less moody and more himself. This mom was smart enough to really work on getting rid of the junk she and her husband had put between them and her son from the past. Emotionally, she realized the mistakes she had made with her child, but now she could start to see the work pay off because now her son was actually getting really happy. And the son, she taught him tools, so he worked on himself, and he could see how he could contribute to himself and build his confidence back up. So kids and families can use these tools too. Most people want the best for their children, and the opinion of what that is varies, but the main thing I have seen by tuning into the energy is kids just want to be with aware parents who are willing to be connected to Source and ask what is in the best interest for the child. I mean, think back when you were growing up. The thing that probably annoyed you the most about your parents was when they were not willing to tune in to really listen and get the download of what was best for you, or intuit what the best solution for you was. Maybe they just barked at you, or maybe they didn't actually really listen. Instead of checking in and asking how do they best guide you, or asking if my son or daughter does this, blah, 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 would it enhance their life? How much better would that feel to be raised like that? How inspiring to have a parent say, what I believe the best solution for you is fill in the blank, and really actually know what the solution is. Most parents want their kids to be happy for sure, but if your parents were being unaware and unconscious versus aware and conscious, you might not really learn how to trust yourself. The most conscious kids I know trust themselves and allow themselves to move forward in life, trusting that they're making right actions because they're in tune to what that is. They don't have to be fearful and off balance. Spirituality is tuning in to the biggest part of you that says, hey, you're great. You're supported. You can trust yourself. Here's the answer to your question. A lot of kids grow up hearing knock it off when they're trying to learn something new. How stable would that make you? The overall thing, though, trusting yourself comes from the deepest part of you. It comes from connecting to the highest vibrational frequency and tuning into the spiritual side of you. Again, it's just a choice. You can choose it. I'm going to just share with you a few more stories so you can get a real glimmer of what's in store for you, so you can actually really connect and see what's possible for you. I have a client who is divorced from her son's father. The father and the child had not been getting along as of late. That's why she brought him to me. I asked her guides why they thought that this was happening. I received a split-screen image of my client and the father fighting when the son was 2 years old. He was 10 currently. After viewing this, I asked my client, "Do you remember a fight when the child was 2 years old?" And she said, "Oh my God, yeah, I do. It was when the father left for the first time for 2 months. She said that they had had a huge fight about him not seeing the son. So we asked the guides what they suggested we do to clear this old injury of the father leaving the son. We called in the guides and angels to clear it from both of them, and I told her, let me know what happens. I was also instructed to ask her to do this every night for a while herself. She called a month later to report that her son came into the room when she got home and said, "It's really weird. Dad called tonight, and he said he was sorry he wasn't around like he should have been, and he'd really like to make it up to me, and was there anything he could do to that?" And she was a little startled about this because, that's pretty fast action, right? So she asked her son and said, "Well, what'd you say?" And he said, "Well, I told him he could take me to the baseball game tomorrow." And so that's what the dad was going to do. So sometimes this stuff, actually occurs right away. So the dad took him to the baseball game. They had a hugely fun thing. He's 10, so he had fun. And the dad's actually been sticking around more now. She called him to thank me for this brand new sense of peace. She said it felt like something had really shifted. And some people think that things don't change or people don't change. And you know what? Sometimes using these spiritual tools, things really do happen. I've seen too much of this to know that it's not always the case that people don't change. So if you look into the light, you connect to the light, and you be the love in the light, this is how you're going to change it. I have another client, and I'll call her Nina. And just so you know, some of these clients' names have been changed just for their privacy, and you'll see why in a minute. So anyway, Nina owned her own company and was looking for life to be different. She had a former husband who was not so nice. I'm leaving out the whole drama part, but let's just say he had guns, and he had many of them, and he threatened to use them. So she called me. She was scared, and she had tried to get away more than one time, but only to be sucked back. So we used her angels. We connected to the light. We aligned her in love. We reprogrammed her energy, her beliefs, and her thoughts on why she was with him in the first place. And we asked the universe to align and get her a new life that she enjoyed now. Within a few days, she found a better place to stay. Within 2 months, she met a gentleman at a conference. He lived in another state. They hit it off, and within 2 months of them meeting, she moved to this state. They got married soon after, and she's really, really happy. So sometimes her and her husband call me and just thank me. It's kind of fun. But she really, truly knows that her life is different because of making these changes and opening up to her spiritual side. So if you could do all of this for yourself, and you had somebody give you the tools, can you start to see how this could make your life easier? Could you start to see how this could really help your family? The clients who use their intuition and awareness live happier, more conscious lives. Their families are more stable. They live from guided truth. Life is easier for them. Looking back, they have no idea how they ever lived being that unaware. It's true. Once you decide to open up to this, life becomes a lot easier and more doable. Intuitive living is being the being you are anyway. Have you ever noticed that if you really want to be aware of something, the universe will show you the answer somehow? What if you could get the awareness in 2 seconds instead of days and weeks and years? What if you needed an answer to a question in a second? What if you needed to know how to proceed, for instance, on buying a car? And you can actually use your spiritual tools to buy a car. You could tune in, check out, find what the lowest amount the dealer would go for before even walking in. That's actually how I buy all my cars. I tune in, check which dealer will give me the best deal. Do they have the car I desire? Do they have all the upgrades? And in a few minutes, I know where to go at what time, with what salesperson, and how much they're going to sell it to me for. Imagine living that way. Smart, yeah? Imagine how much time you could save. Or what if you were trying to find the best training for your child, and you pulled out the phone book, pointed to it, and intuitively knew it was really the best training for your child? What if you could tune into your mate and know exactly what they were thinking? This could be a lot easier than doing the normal guessing games that most couples do, yeah? What actually happens is you actually forgive a lot of things, because usually the things that you're thinking that they're thinking, they're not even thinking. It saves a lot of time and energy. Let's just say you were going on an interview. You could also know how you need to present yourself, what you need to say in order to land the job. Or you could know how to talk to your kids to actually get them to do their homework. The spiritual tools are actually practical. It's a whole new way of living. Unlimited possibilities open up to you. It's just a choice. You just have to make the choice to use it, and you get to choose this on a daily basis. So now for some people, it's all about opening your heart to being this powerful. If you live your life unlike this, do you think it will bring you the happiest outcome? Really. If you could teach yourself to know the shortcuts to knowing the truth, can you see how your life can be better? I've taught a 4-year-old how to read people, and I took her in front of a room of 30 people to prove that even a 4-year-old can do this. She's an amazing little girl. She's now 8, and her 3 siblings can all do the same. It's really an interesting life skill to have it for her, yeah? She's really happy about it. She looks at life from the viewpoint life is actually pretty doable and pretty easy. Imagine if your child could go through life consciously choosing their life from a totally aware, truthful place. Can you see how much easier your life would actually be? Another man came to me, and he was desiring to meet his mate. He had been in a string of relationships. They were all pretty much trauma. These kind of women were the ones that he was attracting. His energy when he came to me had the energy of actually repulsion to women. If you're attracting trauma, you would probably want to push those kind of women away, right? But I could see in his field of energy he was not going to attract the right one. If your field of energy has old junk from the past stuck in it, called thoughts, beliefs, the way you internalized how your mom and dad did relationship, you may be unintentionally blocking the good things that show up in your life. It's actually the law of attraction in action, but backwards. Because you make these proclamations that good things should and are going to show up, but yet, if you believe, like he did, that women are not nice to be around and that women will hurt you, can you see how this will repel a woman from even showing up in your life? Or it'll actually bring to you a woman that will hurt you. That's why, if you break up with somebody, you have to work on your stuff. Otherwise, you're going to attract the same kind of mate. So he worked on clearing his stuff, and he was also empowered to get connected to his guides and angels, so he had help every day if he needed it. I have a lot of male clients who use their angels and guides. They really love that energy. It's kind of like a spiritual buddy system, it's nice to have friends in high places. In a few months, he met a woman online, and it's a little over a year now, and they are about to be engaged. He really knows that the spiritual gifts that I taught him to use were the catalyst. He used these tools all year long whenever something came up that was old garbage. Your stuff is going to come up. It's going to come up until it's gone. And this is what gets in the way from you guys raising your vibration. It's just true. So you need to know that the tools to effectively generate a life you love are available, and you have them. You're going to get them. Your free will, God's greatest gift, can move you towards or repel you from this divinely guided happy life. It's always a choice to be connected or not. Anyway, the person he met and is with now is a total gem and a sweetheart. He says it's a lot better than he had ever manifested before. And ironically, she also used a list to manifest him, and while manifesting, she asked for her dream boat. He owns a boat, which also shows you the importance of what words to use in cultivating your life. Being intuitive is actually who you are. You are a spiritually aware being in a body. A spiritual being does 4 things. A spiritual being knows, perceives, receives, and makes choices. If you are perceiving energy and receiving energy, that's called awareness. You are being aware. If you make a choice to be aware, it puts you in your natural spirit self. Again, it's who you are. You are an aware being. Now, the only thing that can block being aware is actually the choice to not know. But the choice to not know is actually always a lie, because somewhere in your energy field, whether you're conscious of it or not, you always know. When you make the choice to not know, it's a lie, and then you block it, because somewhere you always know. And you can choose to unblock it. So if you chose to block it, you can also choose to unblock it. So not knowing is actually, at the end of the day, a choice. It's like the woman who has a gut instinct that her mate is cheating on her. If you're thinking the question in the first place, you're probably already intuiting the information. But if you deny it, you block your awareness, and you live a life from unconsciousness and unawareness, and this can, and often does, lead to depression. A lot of depressed people that I know have actually just shut down their awareness and are often the most intuitive people I know. When they decide to not know, it cuts off their energy, which leads to depressed energy levels. So I have seen huge success in empowering depressed people just by showing them how to get spiritual gifts. I mean, really look at this. If you are basically an antenna for intuitive awareness, it's who you are, and you pretend to not know all that you know, and shut off half your senses, and shut off your light switch, basically, can you see how this might make you depressed? It's like you put yourself in the dark. I've had teenagers come to my office and I teach them how to fill up with the light. And when they leave, they are literally not depressed anymore. I've actually seen clients stop on their own and with their doctor's permission, stop taking anxiety medication, or they quit smoking pot, or they quit doing other drugs because they started filling up with light every day and connecting to the truth. And I'm going to show you this. I think I read that 1 out of 5 people are depressed and are on some sort of medication for that. Can you see how this might change your life? If you're connected to the truth, know that you can get answers for yourself. Can you see how trusting yourself is this easy? Now, the cool thing with spiritual gifts is that if you turn them on, become totally aware, and operate life from this place, then solutions are actually easy to gather. You just have to start tuning in and asking the universe, what is the solution to this issue I'm having? And with awareness, and I'm going to show you how, you gather the data and line it up. It's easy. Then you have nothing to worry about. All of your trauma goes away, and life becomes grand. And here's the trick. Can you handle being that happy? Can you handle it? Do you love yourself enough to really do this for yourself? I see people addicted to drama and problems all day long. It's fun for them to live in their problems. The constant stress somehow makes them feel alive. But the peaceful, happy, most soulful people I know are intuitive, they're hooked up to their spiritual senses, they're aligned in love, they avoid fear-based thinking. You know, it's a lot easier to get a life the way you want it this way. You erase the drama, have much more free time to do what you really enjoy, and that's my greatest hope for you. That you love yourself enough to be really joyful and be powerfully, fully you. And then you teach your family how to do this, and everyone grows together. One of the most important things I have seen is that somebody has to start in the family. But if the rest of the family kind of grows all up together, it's a much more happy family.